Formula One's taken a 3-week breather. Now it's back on track. We're entering the last quarter of the season. It is race 13, the Hungarian Grand Prix. Hello there, welcome to Budapest. So 4 races to go and the gang of 4. Michael Schumacher, Juan Pablo Montoya, Kimi Räikkönen and Ralf Schumacher all in the hunt for the Drivers' Championship. Absolutely superb. Well, grid position is crucial at this twisting, dirty circuit, and it's advantage Williams after qualifying 2, which sadly didn't include the British rookie Ralf Furman.
He spent the night in hospital. The wing flew off his Jordan in Saturday morning practice, and Furman, at around 160 miles an hour, was knocked out and bruised in a fearful accident. Furman fit enough to watch the Grand Prix. Furman's replaced by Zolt Baumgartner, age 22. It's his debut. He's the first Hungarian to race in a modern Grand Prix. Räikkönen's the first of the heavyweights to show, quick through section 1 but hardly sensational. At least he starts on the clean side of the track. After a poor Friday, Michael Schumacher has to go in the middle of the session. He's quick at first, then struggles for grip. He starts 8th. It's his worst spot in 79 races and 5 years. Damage limitation for the champion, 3 times a winner here. Juan Pablo Montoya starting 6 points behind the German. He loses a bit of time in the mid-sector, but starting ahead of the championship leader is all that matters. Next, a sensational lap from the Spaniard Fernando Alonso. The Renaults have been lively all weekend, but that's extraordinary. Half a second up on Montoya. It's a second career pole for the flyer from Oviedo. Mark Webber starts behind Alonso on the clean side. Jaguar hunting points in the Constructors' Championship. And Ralf Schumacher fined but not demoted 10 places after the Hockenheim crash. He's the best placed championship contender on the front row once again. So Alonso's second career pole, same as Malaysia when he finished on the podium. Ralf Schumacher up front. First obstacle, the modified hairpin. Then the Australian Webber. Montoya, same time as Barrichello, but the Colombian did it first. Trulli, confirmed at Renault next year, but a second slower than his teammate. Then Räikkönen and Michael Schumacher. Coulthard, he's staying at McLaren next season. Panis making the top 10 again for Toyota. 12th, career best for Justin Wilson. Fisichella's leaving Jordan for Sauber in 2004. D'Amata between the BARs. Button outqualifies Villeneuve. Verstappen gets his Minardi off the back row, and that's filled by local hope Baumgartner and the Dane Chiesa. It's the best of the Hungarian Grand Prix with Martin Brundle and James Allen.
Here we go then, Hungarian Grand Prix, 70 laps, begin now! Cracking start from Alonso, look at that, he's like a missile. He's flying towards the first corner, and you see Ralf Schumacher is behind Webber. He's also behind Rubens Barrichello. That's a very expensive start for Ralf Schumacher. Look at Trulli pushing Ralf Schumacher, and then Kimi Räikkönen's gone past him as well, so Ralf has gone backwards with a vengeance. Montoya challenging, there's Michael Schumacher as well. What an explosive start to the Grand Prix.
Well, as we thought, everybody on the right-hand side, absolutely nowhere. Look at Ralf Schumacher from the front of the grid. He's pointing the wrong way in turn 2. And a Toyota of D'Amata being pushed off the grid. So Alonso leads from Webber, Barrichello, Räikkönen, Trulli and Coulthard. The McLarens really taking something out of their 7th and 9th slots on the left-hand grippy side of the grid.
Well, we thought it might play a part, and it's played a very significant part indeed. Fernando Alonso from pole, what a great getaway for him. He's cool and calm. We saw that in his interview with Martin on the grid. He knows what he's got to do. He led the Malaysian Grand Prix. Here, look at this though. That is the Ferrari of Barrichello coming under some pressure from Kimi Räikkönen, and that's the battle for 3rd place at the moment.
Yes, so the men who started 1st, 3rd, 5th and 7th are running 1, 2, 3 and 4 at the moment. Only Trulli with the fast starting Renault managed to do anything from the right-hand side of the grid. Coulthard up to 6th, Michael Schumacher 7th. Ralf Schumacher's rejoined back in 19th place. Only D'Amata behind him, who you saw just coming out of the pit lane.
Look at the lead then at the end of the first lap. 1.9 seconds Alonso has over Webber, and he will be smiling because the Jaguar we expect to struggle in the early stages for pace. And so that means that Barrichello, Raikkonen, Trulli, Coulthard and Michael Schumacher, as you can see them there, all have to get past Mark Webber. Stupid job in qualifying yesterday by the young Australian. Let's have a look again at what happened to Ralf Schumacher.
Ralf Schumacher locked his brakes on the inside on the way into turn 2 and just skidded wide, narrowly missing his teammate. A disastrous start for Williams. Montoya back in 8th place.
Things settling down now into a bit of a pattern. You can see Montoya adjusting something there with his right hand as we ride on board with him. He is behind Michael Schumacher now. He's lost the place to Michael Schumacher, so that's interesting.
Yeah, he lost that at the start, James, that one. But Montoya with Alonso with a 3-second lead then over Webber, who's coming under increasing pressure from Barrichello. And Wilson, look at that. That was Barrichello going off the road. Who did he lose a place to there?
No, he was he cut the chicane, so he has to let them. He certainly had to let Webber go through, but he's gone and let Raikkonen through as well, because he got an advantage from cutting the chicane, so he needed to let Webber through, but Raikkonen was right with Webber. Quick thinking by Raikkonen, got right onto Webber's tail. Here it is again.
Okay, so this was Barrichello having a go at Webber, goes way too deep on the brakes, cuts through the chicane, really did need to let Webber blend in and pass him because he took an advantage by going through that chicane. Yeah, I think you'd have to say gained an advantage going through there, but sadly for him that meant that he also had to let Raikkonen through, and then Trulli decided he'd have a little piece of that as well. So Trulli up to 4th, Barrichello 5th, Coulthard 6th, Michael Schumacher is 7th, Montoya 8th, Heidfeld 9th, Villeneuve is your top 10 then at the moment, all happening behind Alonso.
And you'd have to say of the championship contenders, the one with the biggest smile on his face at the moment, it's got to be Kimi Raikkonen, looking very strong in 3rd place. The McLaren seems to be working quite well in the race. It's been a bit of a handful throughout practice and qualifying, neither driver really topping the timesheets or getting close to the top. But here he is, we ride on board with him now. He's in 3rd place, and his two main rivals at the championship are 7th and 8th, Michael Schumacher and Montoya.
And look at this, watch the left-hand side of the grid, just steaming off down to turn 1. Only Trulli on the right got anywhere near. There is the cloud of dust. It's like a fog for those on the back of the grid as they head all to fight over the same piece of tarmac down into turn 1. Alonso now leading by 10.2 seconds. He's lapping 3 seconds faster than anybody else because Webber is now holding them up. The gap is 12 seconds now at the end of the next lap. And look at the scrabble as we get another replay. And once again, supreme driving skills. Somehow they all managed not to trip over each other.
There you can see 6, 7, 8, 9, Heidfeld, 10, Villeneuve, 11, Wilson. Here goes Ralf Schumacher. He's got a chance. He's made his chance work for him. Ralf Schumacher passes Justin Wilson, makes it look pretty easy into turn 1, and he is now up into 11th place and setting off after Jacques Villeneuve, who we saw at Silverstone last month, proving pretty difficult for the big guys to pass, didn't he?
He did indeed, but the great news for Ralf Schumacher is with Webber holding the main pack up, he can quite quickly get back into play in this Grand Prix. And we're what, James, do you think? 3-4 laps away now from the first of the 3 stoppers coming in?
Yeah, this is lap 11. They were predicting the early guys would come in 13, 15, something like that. We expect the front runners to be coming in between laps 17 and 20. Let's see whether Fernando Alonso was running light to get that pole position, or whether, like in Malaysia, he's carrying quite a significant amount of fuel. He's certainly going very quick at the moment. Fastest first sector again for him, lapping in the low 1:23s. Webber and the rest are lapping in the mid to high 1:24s. So it's all playing very nicely into Alonso's hands here.
Well, you can't accuse Webber of holding the pack up any longer. He's now down into the low 1:24s. Clearly the car beginning to work then. And there's a big gap now. Trulli has fallen 2 seconds away from Raikkonen, who is still hustling Webber. And now they're beginning to stretch out a little bit. This will be Ralf Schumacher then, passing Villeneuve for P10, providing he gets through. And he does, as he has done easily. Past Wilson going in there. And he is very, very brave. That's a different replay altogether of the BAR of Button passing Verstappen.
Just behind them is Zolt Baumgartner. We saw him a minute ago. Here goes Jenson Button then on Verstappen. And this is what we were talking about, the lunge down the inside. So many people have done it. It's been clearing the dust away from the inside line. It's not had a chance to get dirty down there because we've had passing into it right from the start of this Grand Prix. So that's good news for the rest of the race.
And there then quite a lot of teams in the pit lane, James. We can see Renault, we can see Jaguar, Minardi, and maybe even Jordan, I think I saw in there.
Well, let's wait and see which of the two Renaults it's going to be. Is it going to be Fernando Alonso or is it going to be Jarno Trulli? If it's Alonso, it's quite early, but we will see. Certainly there you can see the Jaguar pit crew ready as well. A tense time in the Grand Prix for everybody. First man in then is Justin Wilson.
Didn't change the front tyres then for Wilson. Fuel on and just keeps it going, and away he goes. In comes the Minardi of Verstappen too, and the Renault boys are down there. Which one will it be? They're expecting one of their drivers to come in, and it is Alonso taking to a rather dusty pit lane.
Well, there you have it then, lap 13. That's very early indeed for Alonso. The strategy was, as we thought perhaps earlier in the weekend, they've got nothing to lose. They're fourth place in the championship. Let's stick the car on pole and let's see if we can go out and win it. And in fact, with a 21-second advantage, he isn't going to come back out quite in front of Mark Webber. But let's see how much fuel he puts in the car. That'll tell us what his strategy is for the rest of the day. Anything around 8 or 9 seconds. That looks like 3 stops to me.
Yeah, Webber's in the pits too. They've short-fueled him to try to get him out, but he's going to be just nip and tuck in amongst quite a lot of cars. He's going to filter back in behind Kimi Raikkonen, who now leads the Grand Prix. So he did effectively almost have a pit stop in his pocket. There then is Mark Webber, and his front tyres, they put scrub tyres on if they change them at all. I didn't actually see that, but I'm told they did put some highly scrubbed tyres on. So Alonso exits, so nearly stalled the engine. Raikkonen leads then.
And do you think that little moment of stalling, the hesitation, was enough to lose in the lead? Because it was very marginal when he rejoined, wasn't it?
Yeah, it cost him, what, second and a half. I think that wasn't enough to put him right out front, but it was certainly enough to put him a good distance behind Raikkonen. But surely Raikkonen will pit. Let's see, we're on lap 14. Raikkonen's going to be out of his face in 3-4 laps latest anyway, I would imagine. And at the moment, Raikkonen running low on fuel. He's due for a pit stop sometime soon. And of course, Alonso heavy on fuel, having just stopped, albeit just with 6.2 seconds. So very short fill there. And we have Villeneuve, what looks like in the pit lane, grinding to a halt. He's moving out to the edge of the fast lane in the hope of not getting in anybody's way. It's a very narrow pit lane, a relatively narrow pit lane, just a 2-laner here in Hungary. There is a car coming in the background. It's Raikkonen pitting, so they've got a bit of time because Raikkonen will stop earlier. Trulli pits as well from what was 3rd place. Alonso retakes the lead. Here then is Jarno Trulli, and we're on board as he moves. He's passing Raikkonen. Raikkonen's car bounces down, that's no problem, and away he goes with a solid 7-second stop and a little bit more fuel. That's playing quite nicely for Raikkonen. Remember, main championship contenders Montoya and Schumacher Michael behind him, solidly behind him.
Yep, solidly behind him, yet to make their stops. But remember that Fernando Alonso had a 20-second advantage over Kimi Raikkonen before he made his pit stop, and that will undoubtedly prove significant later on.
Ferrari are very early in the pit lane. Look at the gap between them and all the rest of the team. A lovely clear zone for them to get their work done this afternoon.
Certainly is. The mechanics go to work. Here comes Montoya. Ted.
Here he is. He's been complaining about the balance of the car. They're taking out a bit less front downforce on the wing. There he goes. He's racing Michael Schumacher. Remember, of course, he has to finish at least 2 points or more ahead of him. Good stop, though.
But, 2 good stops there, I would have said. And then Michael Schumacher pits then for his first scheduled stop of the afternoon at the end of lap 18.
And so does Ralf Schumacher right behind him. You'll see the Williams will go past on the left. There he is. He goes past. Michael Schumacher's in his pit box, waiting for Ralf Schumacher to come to stop. These two racing for position, don't forget. So it's critical that Michael Schumacher came out in front. It looks like he's going to rejoin in front. Tidy stop. Fuel hose comes off the Williams. Slightly slower away for Ralf. Very slow away for Ralf. Very, very slow away for Ralf. And that cost him a bit of time. Speed limiter on. And you can see Heidfeld going back as well into the fray. He was behind those two coming into the pits. So no change between them through the first round of pit stops. But very nearly, so some time lost there for Ralf Schumacher. Coulthard then, a longish stop. He switched to a two-stop first of anybody in the German Grand Prix, and it really paid off for him. He came through to second place, and it looks like Ron Dennis and the crew at McLaren have done the same thing again here. They've put him on it, and he feeds back in behind Michael Schumacher, but in front of Ralf Schumacher. Oh, boy. What an awful, awful incident there for Rubens Barrichello. What on earth happened then?
Left rear suspension failure, and the short runoff area down there into turn one, he whacked it head on. But that's the best way with these cars now, is to hit head on, because that's where the crash protection is absolutely the best.
Well, this could be bad news for Alonso, because if we get a safety car here, because as a result of this, let's face it, Rubens's car does need to be moved into a safe position. But the last thing Alonso needed was a safety car here with a 23.6 second advantage. Here it is again then.
That is highly unusual on a Ferrari to see a sheer suspension failure. I wonder what happened to that errant rear wheel that was bouncing down the side of the track. Hopefully that got caught up in the catch fencing too. But we're going to see a different angle. But just it's a catastrophic. Look at that. And hopefully that did not clear the barrier, that tyre. But Alonso now leads by 24 seconds from Raikkonen. They're lapping now similar pace. So Raikkonen leapfrogged Webber in all of that. Webber's 8 seconds behind Raikkonen in third. Trulli maintained fourth, but he's under big pressure from Montoya, who won very well in the pit stop. There's Frentzen leaving. Montoya cleared both Michael Schumacher and David Coulthard in the pit stops. He's fifth, Michael Schumacher sixth, and Ralf Schumacher's now passed Coulthard, who for seventh, Coulthard eighth. And you have to say, looking at David's pace, maybe they have filled him heavily to avoid another, to save a stop, put him onto a two-stopper, James.
Patrick Head there discussing tactics with Sam Michael, the chief operations engineer at Williams, a young guy who's gone into the team that joined from Jordan a couple of years back and has had quite a bit of success since. And he's as competitive as individual as you're ever likely to meet. Every bit as competitive as any of the drivers out on track. As you can see, Webber running a little wide whilst they're putting a lap on Baumgartner. Webber still running in third place. Haven't seen him much really since the pit stops, but he's definitely still there and he's still going strongly. He
is, and he's 6.8 seconds ahead of Trulli. So Mark Webber in a genuine and honest third place. He certainly was backing them up in the beginning, but now he's holding his own. He's lapping about the same speed. In fact, he's lapping quicker than Trulli, Montoya, Michael Schumacher behind him. But now it's Trulli that's got a little bit of a snake behind him. And Louise with the Rubens Barrichello.
Rubens, three wheels on your wagon. Not a lot you could do about that, was there?
I was a passenger. It was I think it was a suspension failure, because some photographer showed me that when I brake, so the left rear suspension went, and I lost the brakes. I lost completely everything. So the only thing I had a chance was to pray, because it was going to be a big one. And you know, thanks God, I'm walking and I'm okay.
For those of you just joining us, Giancarlo Fisichella there retiring from the Grand Prix. Where the incident with the Williams, as you can see, they're carving through the field, and Montoya having a go at Jarno Trulli. Didn't come off for him this time, but look at this, Michael Schumacher now hassling Ralf Schumacher. Well, he's gone down, he's gone back behind Ralf Schumacher.
Yeah, that's a pass. Ralf in the melee. Ralf passed Michael. That's a crucial move for the afternoon as well, isn't it? So that puts Michael Schumacher now 5 places behind Raikkonen, and more places again behind, or places behind Montoya too. So it's not working well for Ferrari this afternoon. Ralf Schumacher continues his relentless drive through the field after that spin in turn 2 of the Grand Prix. And your leader Alonso is in the pit for his second stop of the afternoon, again quite early.
Quite early, but this one he should be able to get out in front of Kimi Raikkonen. He had a 26.6 second advantage. Renault are sticking with the 3-stop strategy, and he should comfortably come out ahead of Raikkonen. We'll see the McLaren coming up behind him sometime shortly. He's comfortably ahead of him, isn't he?
And there it looks like engine failure on the exit of turn 3 for Fisichella. Not too far to walk then. Alonso rejoins the race in the lead of the Grand Prix, and it's working beautifully for Renault.
Fisichella walking in there. News coming through yesterday evening that he has signed for Sauber for next year, 2-year contract, as we look again at the pass of Ralf Schumacher on Michael.
I think Ralf really caught Michael unawares there. Michael would have been watching the very close action between Montoya. Montoya's failed overtake on Trulli, and while he was watching that with a Jordan in the middle for good measure, Ralf just pounced on his favourite place down into turn 1.
As Mark Webber comes into the pits from 3rd place, and this second round of pit stops is likely to prove just as influential on the order as the first round did. We saw quite a bit of jumbling around in the first round of pit stops. Let's see how Webber handles this one, as Montoya and Ralf Schumacher and Michael Schumacher all sweep through, so Webber has dropped down behind them. Fuelman diving out of the way, dust flying everywhere, and 7.7 seconds later, Mark Webber rejoins the Grand Prix. There he is, and that is the Sauber of Nick Heidfeld, who was in 9th place, so he'll tuck in. He'll have been moved up, Heidfeld into 8th place, and Webber slots into 9th. Diving into the pitch, you can see, is, I think, the Renault of Jarno Trulli. Indeed it is.
The wheelman there, ready to follow the wheel nut in to speed up. Renault, as Benetton as they were, Tolman before that, have always been good on their stock, and another clean and crisp one as Trulli goes out of the pits. But what's his outlap going to look like, and how fast can the Williams go now? We'll keep an eye on them.
Here he comes out of the pits, and let's keep an eye on the Williams, as you say, Martin. They're 3rd and 4th now. Juan Montoya 3rd, Ralf Schumacher 4th, Michael Schumacher is in 5th place, 7/10 of a second behind his brother, and that really is a very interesting scrap there between those 3 drivers. There's Flavio Briatore, the team principal. He'll have had an eye on Jarno Trulli, but he will be so excited about what Fernando Alonso is doing in the other car. He's leading this Grand Prix, as he has done pretty much throughout, and another stupendous performance by the Spaniard.
Raikkonen in the pits. Here he is, 2nd place man then. He was 1.8 seconds behind Ted. Take it away.
If McLaren do this really well, they can get him out in front of Montoya. That's going to be absolutely crucial. There's no problems with the stop so far. Raikkonen's stop going well. That's quite a lot of fuel in there, though, isn't it?
No, I think that's still pretty much, you know, we're not even halfway in the Grand Prix, so that's pretty solid 3-stop refueling there. And does he get out in front of the 2 Williams? He certainly isn't going to do one of them. He might squeeze in between the pair of them, and he doesn't make it.
He makes it in front of Michael Schumacher, but he doesn't make it in front of Ralf. And you see the way Ralf came across there. That was a very aggressive, perfectly okay, perfectly legitimate, but he was absolutely not, after all he's been through in the last few weeks, with the crash on the first lap at Hockenheim, and then the appeal hearing, and all that sort of stuff, and then his first lap where he dropped down to the last place, Ralf Schumacher. He was not going to give up another place for anybody.
And Ralf in the pits, look at that, absolutely on the ragged edge in the pit lane, let alone on the racetrack, and this could be a great chance for him to leapfrog Montoya and or Trulli.
Yes, he's got to worry about Raikkonen as well. They were all in the mix. It's going to be so very close when he comes out. So much reliance here on the mechanics. This is their chance to play a part in the afternoon. Absolute snorter of a stop by them. And Ralf Schumacher's back out on his way. So when Montoya comes in for his stop, which will be in a few laps' time, he's got to get back out in front of him.
Well, Webber made it through then, look. And he's going to beat Trulli. Montoya pits then. He needs to be something in the early 7 seconds, and he's got a great chance of coming out in front of his teammate and Trulli. The Williams team ready then. Ted.
Well, Juan Pablo Montoya needs a really clean pit stop. Let's see if he can do, if he's going to jump Jarno Trulli. The signs look good, I must say. Here we go, fuel going in, and he's away. 7.0 seconds, is it enough? Let's see.
Both hands off the wheel then, I think that'll be enough, I really do. He's obviously got a bit of fogging as he's sweating inside the helmet there, as the 2nd Jordan of the afternoon, Baumgartner, local boy, blows up.
Right in front of the Hungarian spectators in the main grandstand, so they saw the start of his race and they're seeing the end of it as well. A grandstand, if you'll pardon the pun, view, but we want to know what happened when Montoya came out of the pits. We'll only find out, sadly, when we pick up the pictures and when the computer shows us whichever happens first. There you can see a rather sad Eddie Jordan, his 2nd retirement of the afternoon. There's been quite a lot of engines blowing up this weekend, haven't there? and certainly quite a lot of engines in the back of Jordan's blowing up. Fisichella lost 2 on Friday, we believe 4 in total from the Jordan team. But where is Montoya?
Montoya's done the fastest middle sector of the Grand Prix on his outlap. So Montoya, we believe, is ahead, because he's still going to be behind Alonso and Raikkonen and probably Webber. At the moment, Michael Schumacher and Coulthard have not stopped for their second time at the moment. But did Montoya get out in front of Webber too?
Well, certainly the graphic there on the screen would seem to suggest that Montoya did leapfrog Mark Webber, which means if that's the case, that's a real third place in actuality when the whole thing shakes out. Alonso will be the leader, Raikkonen will be second, and Montoya will be third, ahead of Webber, fourth, Ralf Schumacher fifth. Well, it's super close, and this racetrack at the moment set the gap between Alonso and Raikkonen, the leading margin, as Ralf Schumacher makes a pass on Mark Webber. This is for racing for position. 6th place they're going for. Ralf Schumacher, lovely onboard shot with him then. Didn't quite make it into his favourite overtaking place. Will he have a go here? No, but he's very close.
Yeah, they're feeling pretty feisty, aren't they? The two Williams drivers, they've got to make up some ground. Just shows you what a great chance they had to win this Grand Prix this afternoon, but they're making the best of a bad job ever since that very poor opening lap. And surely it's only a matter of time before Ralf nails that Jaguar down into turn 1. This was a good effort and good driving there. Webber left him just enough room so they didn't touch, but not enough room to pass him. And quality stuff from Mark Webber and Ralf Schumacher.
But into the pit lane comes Michael Schumacher. Now, this is an important stop for him. He was 9.7 seconds ahead of Coulthard, who was 5 seconds ahead of Montoya. So Michael Schumacher, there's a chance he might drop in between Ralf Schumacher and Trulli.
A long time getting the refueler in there. Seemed to be a long time. And he's saying, where's the engine? Where's the engine? So something being changed in there, and a long stop, but that was not all for fuel. I still think he's got to come in again, James. There are 40 laps to go, 30 laps to go still. Will he stretch that through to the end? But they were a long time getting the refueling in, and through then comes Jarno Trulli, which you would expect.
Meanwhile, Zolt Baumgartner, first Hungarian to race in Formula 1 here at Budapest, is talking to Louise.
Yeah, it's been a disappointing weekend for Jordan, double engine failure, and Zolt for you as well. I mean, but was your Grand Prix good fun while it lasted?
Yeah, it was a very good possibility for me. I'm very upset that I couldn't finish the race. My plan was to finish the race. I was in 15th. I think I did a good start. And yeah, that's motorsport, that technical defects can happen. So unfortunately today happened with Jordan and with Giancarlo and me. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks.
Well, clearly Coulthard is definitely now onto a two-stopper as Justin Wilson goes out of the Grand Prix for Jaguar. He was in 11th place, having a solid run this afternoon, and it looks to me like an engine failure. So not a good afternoon. Jordan having 2 problems as well. 4 engine failures for Jordan so far this weekend, and a pretty big one there for Justin Wilson.
Yeah, I think the Cosworth boys will have a bit of concern because Mark Webber blew an engine earlier this weekend as well, and with the engines blowing in the back of the Jordan, also built by Cosworth, and I believe that Minardi lost one as well. That's not what they wanted. Meanwhile, this is what we needed to know. Where did David Coulthard filter back in again after his pit stop? Answer, right into the middle of a dogfight between Jarno Trulli and Michael Schumacher, and that's yet more bad luck for Michael Schumacher.
It is indeed, because I believe Michael Schumacher's got a pit again, yeah, and so has Jarno Trulli in my view. So that has worked out quite well for David Coulthard. He's certainly been brought up into play. He's not going to win the race, but he's got a chance of some solid points this afternoon. And this is Ralf Schumacher having a look at Mark Webber. They're fighting for 4th place, and that'll be the 2nd time they've been into that corner side by side, but this time Schumacher makes it stick. He's certainly passed some cars in there today, hasn't he?
Yes, anybody who gave him the reputation in the past of being a bloke who's not able to overtake, he's put the lie to that today. He really got the bit between his teeth after dropping down to last place. He spun in turn 2 after a very messy start from the dirty side of the front row of the grid, and ever since then he has been a man possessed. Fantastic racing driving by Ralf Schumacher, and he is now on the track behind teammate Juan Montoya. Alonso leads Raikkonen by 25 seconds. Montoya is 14 seconds behind the McLaren of Raikkonen. And then Ralf Schumacher is about 13.5 seconds behind his teammate. And then it's Webber, Trulli, Coulthard and Michael Schumacher down in 8th place at the moment. Reckon we're about 3 or 4 laps away from the 3rd round of pit stops for the front runners, most of whom, with the exception of David Coulthard, as you said, seem to have chosen a 3-stopper this afternoon. There is Heinz-Harald Frentzen having some problems in the Sauber. His teammate was 9th, he was 10th.
And he so nearly took Kimi Raikkonen out of the Grand Prix through no fault of his own. Obviously his car stopped on him in the middle, right in the middle of turn 2 as Raikkonen was coming up to lap him, and Raikkonen really having to take avoiding action behind the Sauber there. So a bit of a scary moment as the Renault of Fernando Alonso, the leader, comes into the pits, and once again he's got more than a pit stop advantage, and he should rejoin in the lead despite having stopped one more time than his nearest pursuer, Kimi Raikkonen. Front tyres coming off, then they're changing them this time, but once again a relatively lightly scrubbed set going on this time, and another clean stop, plenty of revs, and away he goes. Remember, he so nearly stalled it at the end of his first stop, but Raikkonen coming into the pit straight now. Alonso will, as expected, maintain the lead. Webber's pitted then for Jaguar. Here we are on board with him. Look for a myriad of green overalls as your giveaway. There you are, your man-made garage that you hurtle into.
Well, he's been as high as 2nd in this Grand Prix, running there quite comfortably in the early stages. Then he was 3rd for quite a while, and now he was in 5th when he made that pit stop. It's been a very solid afternoon's driving for Mark Webber. It's an important stop for Michael Schumacher. He was battling with Trulli and Coulthard. No problems with the engine stopping this time.
Yeah, well, as I thought, he didn't go into a 2-stopper. He's definitely, really, he is in trouble. I don't think he's going to have much of a chance of getting ahead of Trulli, and we don't think Coulthard's going to stop again. So Michael Schumacher could well be nailed down there in P8, unless there's some reliability issues, or unless he does just happen to get ahead of Jarno Trulli. And Kimi Raikkonen pits for his 3rd and final stop. Ted.
Here he goes then, Kimi Raikkonen. Is this on the way to 2nd place? It certainly looks like it. No problems with the fuel stops so far. About 60 kilos of fuel's going into this. Go to the end. Oh, it's a bit slow coming off, but there he goes. 8.2 seconds. Decent final stop.
Meanwhile, Montoya, top of the frame. Here he comes. 3rd place before he came into the pits to make this stop. Teammate Ralf Schumacher will go past him on the road, but he has yet to make his 3rd stop as well. Metronomic performance there once again. There is Ralf Schumacher, and you can see that Jenson Button just getting caught up there as well. Ralf Schumacher was very close to Kimi Raikkonen there, who's just rejoined after making a stop. Ralf Schumacher trying very hard to leapfrog his teammate, but he's going to need a bit of a clearer track than that if he's going to find the speed.
Yeah, I think positions 1 and 2 are fixed now, depending upon reliability or driver error. I think Ralf Schumacher's got a chance of catching Montoya if he really keeps hammering on for 3rd and 4th. And at the moment, you'd have to say, if Coulthard is 2-stopping, if we're right on that, he's got a shot at 5th. Trulli will then be, Trulli and Webber will be with Michael Schumacher fighting over the final few points. And there then is Trulli for his 3rd stop too. So it does release Coulthard nicely.
Certainly does, and critically, Michael Schumacher is behind Nick Heidfeld. He emerged behind the fellow German after that 3rd and final stop for Michael Schumacher. So yet another thing he could have done without this afternoon. Nice stop once again from the Renault team.
And where is Michael Schumacher? I'm looking out of the window. Schumacher comes past me now. That's going to be tight, but I think Trulli's going to keep it, isn't he? He is indeed. So yes, at the moment, Michael Schumacher's pegged to 1 World Championship point.
Well, it was close. You could see there was no Heidfeld, so we're not sure where he's got to, but he's dived into the pits. That's what the answer was. He got out of the way of Michael Schumacher at the beginning of that, at the end of that lap before, and that's why Michael Schumacher came down the pit straight on his own, and he's desperately going to try and get past Trulli now, who's out on new tyres. Unfortunately, we cut away from that. Oh, there we are. You can see Michael Schumacher having a real go. A lot of aggression here in this cockpit. Huge amount of frustration as well, I imagine.
Yeah, Michael knows he's got to do it now while Jarno's getting up to speed, finding out where he's at with these fresh tyres, heavier fuel load. And Michael knows he's got to pounce. He's the man who's had an extra lap since his pit stop. Ralf Schumacher pits then, and away he goes. He's going to have to drive like crazy if he wants to be on the podium and beat his teammate Montoya today. But the way it's all shaping up, it looks very much as if Raikkonen, Michael Schumacher and Montoya move forward as the three drivers for the World Championship, and their three teammates are going to have to help them.
Yeah, Michael Schumacher has just been shown the blue flag, which means the leader is coming through. Let him through. There he is. He's about to do so. You pass too many blue flags, you get a penalty. And you can see the race leader now coming in on the back of Michael Schumacher. Not quite close enough yet to do something about him, but who would have believed it? I
would have thought those blue flags were shown very, very early, I have to say. And it seems as if Michael is now backing off and letting the leader through. That's going to put a smile on a few people's faces at Renault, and they're going to cringe on the pit wall at Ferrari. But those blue flags are very, very early there. But Michael respecting them totally, even though it's compromised him against Jarno Trulli. And that worked out very well for Renault, didn't it?
Yeah, well, if it finishes this way, Michael Schumacher is only going to take one World Championship point away from this Grand Prix. And you'd have to say that after the middle part of the season, which was so rich for Michael Schumacher, with wins in San Marino, Spain and Austria and Canada, the last few Grand Prix, Germany he finished 7th, Britain he was 4th, and Europe he was, Nürburgring he was 5th, so it's not many points in the last few Grand Prix for him.
No, but watch this look. Trulli really did back out and let Alonso through, and it just gave Michael a chance to creep up onto his gearbox. So Michael, once again, with a chance to pounce. So Jarno Trulli needed to find a slightly more elegant way of letting his teammate through into the lead there. But Alonso just, I mean, the car's just totally hooked up, isn't it? Here is a slow-mo replay of the Ferrari bouncing its way through the final corner. And let's remember, this is a relatively untroubled, and look, that's Montoya rejoining the racetrack after a spin. Where's his teammate? His teammate's right behind him. So Montoya does not need to let Ralf Schumacher past him in for the World Championship points position. And it looks like he just got away with that.
And he'll be hoping that Ralf now is taking the attitude of, I'm the rear gunner, I'll protect the man going for the championship. There was a faint glimmer that if Ralf Schumacher had been lucky. Here's the spin for Montoya.
Well, he's lucky not to go in the gravel trap there, and a major, major escape. Very lonely as he enters the last lap there. It's been a lonely race, hasn't it? I mean, he romped off. He had a 15-second lead after 5 laps. And he's pretty much had nobody around him the whole race, had the comfort of an extra pit stop available to him at any time, and still not losing the lead of the Grand Prix. And Fernando Alonso then faultlessly, we haven't seen him really anywhere near a curb or anywhere near a brake lockup. He's just been, because of not been under pressure, of course, particularly either, but been doing the lap times and not been cruising. They've not let him have it easy. He's certainly driven away from them at the front.
Well, he took pole. It looks like he's going to take victory. The only piece of the jigsaw, the Grand Slam, if you like, he's not going to get his fastest lap. That goes to Juan Pablo Montoya as things stand, but pretty much everything else has gone Fernando Alonso's way in the second half of this weekend. His father is an explosives expert, works in the quarries, blowing up rocks. And Fernando Alonso certainly had an explosive impact on Formula One in this, his first season with a competitive team. Started out with Minardi a couple of years ago, took the testing role at Renault as a build-up to this. And Fernando Alonso wins his first Grand Prix, and he becomes the youngest man ever to win a Formula One Grand Prix. And what a remarkable weekend for the young Spaniard.
Well, that's our 8th winner of the year, and of course he's lapped so many of these cars. Whatever happens now, Michael Schumacher cannot pass Jarno Trulli. So Schumacher is nailed back there with 1 championship point and 8th place. Trulli 7th. Their race is over because they were a lap behind, but there's really not much of a squabble on this final tour from the other players. Montoya should maintain 5th. Raikkonen has gone over the line for 2nd. And there, Montoya takes 3rd, Ralf Schumacher 4th, and a bit down the road, Coulthard will come through in a comfortable 5th place. But, really, a bit of an adventurous afternoon. You have to say Ralf Schumacher was pretty mighty, wasn't he, into that new turn 1. He established better and earlier than anybody else that there's a lot of grip in there, and he even overtook his brother down into that corner as David Coulthard then takes that 5th place, and Mark Webber's 14 seconds behind him for 6th.
Fernando Alonso, the first Spaniard ever to win a Grand Prix. He's aged 22 and 27 days. It's a slice of F1 history. We'll hear from him, and there's Tony Jardine's analysis when you rejoin us in Hungary. It's been a perfect weekend for Renault and Oxford resident Fernando Alonso. On pole and the runaway winner here in Budapest. 10 out of 10 in every sense for Alonso. Raikkonen, just 21 months older, second after starting 7th. Montoya getting away with that late spin, but staying in the hunt. Ralf Schumacher carves through to 4th. Coulthard, a very controlled race, 2 stopping. Webber scoring vital constructors' points for Jaguar. Trulli holding off Michael Schumacher, whose Ferrari was lapped by the brilliant winner.
The first part of the race was tough. I pushed a lot. But after to have that 20 seconds gap that I had in the first stint, I really control it for the whole race.
Ron Dennis told us this weekend that you're going to have a very big step on the car for Monza. How do you see the rest of the season?
That's if it's true, then it's a good thing, because I think so. Basically, we have exactly the same car what we came to Melbourne, and we need something new to keep up with the others, and hopefully everything works well in the testing, and we will have a stronger package next race.
I was thinking about the championship this race. I think I had a couple of opportunities to pass Michael, and I even asked the team, can I pass Michael? I said, yeah, go for it. I said, I don't know, I knew I was quite, you could tell I was quite a lot quicker than him. I said, just wait. And as soon as, I don't remember who was in front of me, Jarno, whoever it was, came in and we just drove away.
What did you make of these 3 young guys and Fernando Alonso at the top of the podium of this race?
What do I make out of it? I mean, that's what I said a long time ago, that I believe they're very good and they're future winners.
And how can we improve, how can Ferrari improve the car for your home race at Monza?
Tell me.
Well, you've got a big test coming up. You're going to be a busy boy.
Certainly. If I know, then it would be easier.
Really enjoyed that. It was difficult in the first few laps because the start was quite good, and then we had a lot of graining on the front left, which we expected anyway. And that's right, mate. We had a lot of graining, and difficult. Rubens tried to pass me in the top chicane and went straight ahead, which was nice. And then just trying to keep David. It was David or Kimi at bay, I think it was Kimi, and then got in a nice stride after that, really. Just had to keep the rhythm of the 3 stops and just keep the qualifying laps rolling in, and do my best. The boys rang me up with about 20 laps to go and just said, back off, leave her alone now, and bring it home. So it was really, really good, and the team did a super job, and all the boys back there in the UK, thanks guys, and we'll keep improving.
Excellent result for the team. Obviously exactly what Kimi needed in terms of Michael. Great result for Fernando and Renault, and it puts the championship wide open.
Does it mean anything to you to be the youngest ever winner of a Grand Prix, or is it almost expected?
No. Obviously, it's a big theme for me. I had the youngest pole in Malaysia, and now the youngest victory for me means a lot. And you know, I hope to be the youngest world champion.
So just take a look at this. 3 races to go. 2 points cover the top 3. Michael Schumacher just 1 ahead of Montoya. Raikkonen very much in the mix as well. Ralf Schumacher isn't. Alonso overtaking the unlucky Barrichello. Coulthard and Trulli both scoring. Williams go back on top in the constructors. 11 big points puts them 8 clear of Ferrari. A dozen apiece for McLaren and Renault. And in that scrap for 5th, Webber's moved Jaguar level with BAR, a blank day for all the rest. Tony, let's look at the start, and the clean side of the grid, very much the place to be.
And that was shown by Ralf Schumacher, who had a terrible start. Look at him bogging down there and everybody enveloping him, just like he did at Hockenheim, not getting away. Alonso's gone. Now, this is what happens here on the inside. Look at that. The inside, you see Kimi Raikkonen was darting around behind Barrichello. Great start on the inside there from Jarno Trulli. But look at the 2 Williamses on the outside. Ralf, desperate to keep his position, is blocking Juan Pablo there at the top of the picture. and then Ralph goes off and spins. He spoilt everything for Juan Pablo there, so much so that Michael Schumacher got past Juan Pablo as well, and that could have spoiled his title aspirations right there and then.
And Ralph Schumacher recovered very well later in the race. I've never seen a Ferrari suffer like Barrichello's. What happened there?
It's very hard to say. I don't believe it was just suspension. I believe with the sort of transmissions that are running, I believe that the transmission blew up. And I believe that's why the whole half shaft came out there with the wheel, and then the suspension very swiftly followed. It's just a theory. It may not be the case, but they've been known to be working on a very secret transmission, even talk of twin clutches, etc. in there to speed up the gear changes. Deformable structures working very well, reminiscent, of course, of the head-on that Schumacher had in '99, but just look at this wheel flying, rolling along. We've had that in Japan before off Villeneuve's. It was taken by the catch fencing and didn't go into the crowd, luckily, and there was Barrichello, okay.
The end of Barrichello's very faint world title hopes. Ralph overtook Michael. Ring the bell.
See, the thing is, I say Ralph was the racer of the day. Of course, it was Alonso's day. He was the driver of the day. But here it is. Look, Juan Pablo's trying to get fourth place off Trulli. All going on behind there. Michael Schumacher gets jumped by his brother Ralph. The last time that Ralph did that was in 00 in Spain. And then they banged wheels, and their father had to sort out the problem. The two brothers wouldn't speak for 5 weeks.
No team orders. Would you, though, now expect Ralph Schumacher to support Juan Pablo Montoya?
Well, of course, team orders are banned. You must find a way of getting around the FAA sanctions on that. But unless it is mathematically improbable or unlikely that Ralph can get past him, he won't accede to that at all. He'll wait till he's told to do something. Then he'll have to be subtle.
Man of the weekend, driver of the day, one of the drivers of the season, Fernando Alonso. What a show from him and for the Renault team.
Truly superb, and you have to say that Tim Dencham, the chief designer, and Mark Smith, the other chief designer, they never get mentioned. There's work that they've both done on the R23, the Renault engine, which of course they all said it's underpowered, it's useless. They gave him more power here, the wonderful handling, but this man has to put it all together. Great day for Spain, great day for Alonso, great day for Renault, first time back since '83, and Prost, that is tremendous. And there's Flavio Briatore getting the hugs he richly deserved. And this man could be the youngest ever world champion in the next 3 years.
OK, it's 3 weeks to our next Grand Prix, Tony. In the meantime, you've got a bit of business at Goodwood, haven't you?
Sure, I'm very lucky because I'm racing in the TT and Nick Wales E-Type Jaguar, and then I'm also racing Gerhard Berger's in that race in a Ferrari, and I'm also with Ray Davis, and he's in 2 races for me at Goodwood. A great meeting from 5th to 7th of September.
And get along there if you can. And our coverage of Goodwood follows the Italian Grand Prix at Monza in 3 weeks' time. The full service here on ITV1, qualifying midnight on the Friday, live on the Saturday, and the race live big pre-race show just after midday, highlights 11:45. The title race will intensify there. Fernando Alonso isn't involved. Bet on it. He will be in the future. Bye-bye.